Family's in for the holidays, and I need gift ideas.
Hey, all right. Ben, I'm going on the air, but I'll call you back. I got your messages. I know when you're coming in.
All right.
I'll call you back. I've got to be on the radio right now, so I'll call you back. Yeah, bye-bye. Yeah, friends call at times. It's a good thing to have friends that call.
All right, gentlemen, this is Emma Smith on behalf of Penn, and I've got the perfect plan. Run straight to your doctor's office for a life-changing gift. Because when prostate cancer is caught early, it's up to 99% treatment, and one blood test might be all it takes. And now through November, the Penn is donating to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for select.
Hello, everybody. Yes.
From September 1st to November 30th, the Penn is donating 40 cents to the Prostate Cancer Foundation for defense shield guards, real-fit products purchased in the U.S. up to a maximum of $300.
We got Steve Wisniewski coming on. The Wiz, if you know NFL football, he was a great Raider.
Keep it locked in right here as our game day coverage starts Sunday at 10 with Q's kickoff on Raider Nation Radio.
Put a bow on your NFL weekend as the Eagles are in California to play the LA Rams. Sunday at 4:30 on ESPN Radio 1100 AM and 100.9 FM. Brought to you by Paul Paddleball. It's not about the injury,
Yep.
It's about the recovery.
Gambler's bonus hits again. On August 27th, Mark hit 4 threes, clearing his Gambler's bonus arm.
So, hope everybody had a good day, good night, whatever you do.
Hit big and so can you with Gambler's bonus.
Hope everything is great. I'm going to hit the show to start right now.
I know a thing or two about audibles, specifically when it comes to making a change during the game. You can call your own audibles with early cash
Warren Moon's going to join us today, which I think is pretty cool.
With early cash out, now you have the option to audible your previously placed wagers with just a click.
Audible? Is this just an excuse for you to say Omaha in an ad?
Exactly, Eli. Omaha.
Must be 21. Gambling problem? Or 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right.
Cubs fans, ready for a
So look for him, Bobby. He should probably be checking in. Yep, it's F1 weekend. I am in vest season. I'll be wearing my vest a lot. God, it's cold. Last night I walked the dog late, like after 11, and that's when the race is on, the F1. Yeah, I mean, that's winter jacket shit. That's winter jacket shit. I mean, not that we don't get much winter out here, but it gets colder in the desert near the mountains.
It's just I was talking to somebody yesterday. It's like the wind out here is a lot different than it is back east.
Yeah, it is.
It's like there's a little humidity and stuff to it. Here, it just bites right through it.
Immediately notice its beautiful packaging, and after just one sip, you'll experience how.
Hey, Jess Hill, act like an idiot, you'll be put in timeout. So if you're here to bash the Raiders, you picked the wrong place, buddy. So you can kind of figure that out on your own. The JJ Jess Hill. So, you know, be a wise ass. That's cool. I'm a wise ass, but act like an idiot. I don't need to look at you while I'm doing a show. And people like the first few minutes of the show because I'm not on the radio now. I can talk freely. Bobby and I don't curb our language. Yeah. All right, so we'll get Wiz in here, semifinalist for the Hall of Fame. We'll have Lee Sterling picking games. I've been gone a little bit lately. Was gone to visit my folks in Florida, and I went to Miami. So I haven't talked to Lee Sterling in a couple of weeks. And what else?
We got Vince Sapienza at 12:30.
And we pride ourselves on our
Clip back into the one.
Battleborn Injury Lawyers.
Yes.
Warren Moon, Wiz, and
Lee
Sterling.
I'll let Cliff know.
Your battle is our fight.
Chevrolet is Nevada's #1 Chevrolet volume dealership.
Put about 30.
Together, let's drive.
Home of the woo. You know, when guys like Fred Biletnikoff watch this, Phil Villapiano watch this, my dad watches this, my son watches this. You never know who's going to slide in and watch the show. We are not an overly produced show. This is the raw version, which I like because we're building up that YouTube, man. We're building it. It's taking a lot longer than I thought, but we're patient.
It's time to sound off and react for over 20 years.
It's the JT the Brick Show, broadcasting live from the Finley Cadillac Performance Studio, your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years. And now, here's JT the Brick.
Out of the gate, JT on a beautiful day. Yes, I am wearing a vest today. This is vest season for me. I think my wife a couple of years ago started buying me these vests that you can get anywhere, and I like them. I like to wear the vest here, and we're going to need it here in Vegas. It is cooling off at night, man. I walked the dog. I was telling all of us in YouTube, we already got a vibrant crowd there. So if you want to subscribe, you can watch. You can see the vest, JT the Brick YT. And we're getting rolling. It's getting cool at night, and it's F1 weekend, and that race is at night. So it's going to get cold as we open up the show. So we're going to have a couple of cool guests coming up here. A semifinalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Steve Wisniewski, one of my favorite Raiders of all time, because I got to know him. He's a gentleman. As a player, he was an animal, a beast, the exemplary of what you want to be as a Raider. If you say, who's a Raider? You point to Steve Wisniewski, and you say, that's a Raider. Why? Well, he's kind of an unassuming gentleman in real life, and they put on his helmet and pads, and he destroyed people. And he's a great player, and I already think he's a Hall of Famer, but he's not in yet. Eric Allen made the semifinals. Last year, EA made the finals. He's not in yet. Most of what Eric did that was great was with the Philadelphia Eagles, but he came to the Raiders at the end of his career and had 15 interceptions of his 54. And I think Eric Allen should be in the Hall of Fame. I also think Lester Hayes, Jim Plunkett. There's a lot of Raiders left that are Hall of Famers. There's not many more. I just want to get that out here now. There's been a gap on how many players are going to make the Hall of Fame, right? We got Charles Woodson in, Tim Brown's in. But if you look at the modern era of the last 20 years of the Raiders, there aren't many players out there. Shane Leckler is a lock to me, an absolute lock. You can debate Sebastian Janikowski. The problem for Seabass is a lot of better kickers out there than him. Adam Vinatieri is going to get in. You know, Justin Tucker, you start going down the list. There's a lot of good kickers over the last 20 years, but Seabass is our own. And then you go back to the legends of Art Powell and the ones who are forgotten, Phil Villapiano, Fu, George Atkinson, one of my favorite players of all time. So there's a lot of players out there and Hall of Famers and everybody, but Steve Wisniewski's special. And I know there was a lot of buzz this year around Steve Wisniewski and more players from his era talking about him as a Hall of Famer because they know how great he was. Wiz is kind enough to join us on the flagship of the Raiders. Congrats, Wiz, on the recent news. How are you?
JT, it's great to be with you. I love talking to you as always, and thank you so much. I am completely speechless and honored to be mentioned in that amazing class with Eric Allen, one of your good friends, obviously, and so many other fine men.
Yeah, it's a great class. Wiz, first, how'd you get the news? Obviously, the Raiders they were right there with the send button, ready to put out everything and the tweets and all that. But as you're sitting by the phone or you're waiting for that news, what was it like when you first got it?
Well, thank you. I wasn't sitting by the phone. In fact, Rich Gannon texted me.
Wow!
Congratulations, Wiz. I'm so proud of you. You know, I'll do anything I can, and that was a tip-off that something had happened. And so Rich Gannon actually gave me the news. And, yeah, thank you. You know, it's just such an outpouring of love and support from the Raider family. Guys I played with and haven't spoken to in 20 years are texting, and even players from around the league. So it's just really a great feeling, JT, to feel that love and to feel like the guys are proud of you, and, you know, and they feel like you're representing them, you're representing the Raider organization. So the feeling we've all had is you just want to see other Raiders get in, and you're just so happy for anyone.
Steve Wisniewski is our guest. You know, with the 8-time Pro Bowls, the all-decade team, all the accomplishments you had in the NFL, in the All-Pro, 6-time second-team All-Pro, 2-time first-team All-Pro. I mean, you documented your career. But what I think's changing now, Steve, with you, I know Mark Schlereth brought your name up on a podcast and others. People who played in your era realize the level that you played at, and we're not in your era anymore. So there are voters there that came before you that are still in the room. There are some new voters there, but I think if they go on the deep dive of your career with the LA and Oakland Raiders from 89 to 2001, what do you believe, and I know how humble you are, so I'll frame this right. What do you believe are some of your strongest points that your teammates saw, and especially the opponents who played against you?
Yeah, thanks, JT. Great question. I would have to say tenacity. I would put my tenacity up there with any of the other offensive linemen. I played the offensive guard position with kind of a defensive mindset. Some of my heroes that I looked up to, my older brother Leo played professionally for the Colts. He was a nose tackle. God was a role model to me. Howie Long was a role model to me. And,
oh, his phone's cutting out a second. Wiz, we got to get you in a good spot. Your phone's kind of cutting out. I want to hear more about these role models. You were saying Howie Long.
yes, sir. So, role model, Howie Long, Matt Millen, Art Shell. These guys were warriors, and I believe that playing the offensive line position was just that kind of tenacity. And so, yeah, I would put my tenacity up there with anyone. I wasn't the biggest, strongest, fastest, but defensive.
Hey, Wiz, let's get you to call back right here. We'll get you back up here in a second, Bobby. Let's make sure we get a clear phone line. That's not on him. Every once in a while, a cell phone doesn't have a clear line. So we'll wait for Wiz to call back because I really wanted to hear what he had to say about his tenacity. He's one of the few guys, when I interview a lot of people, I can't ask, what do you think of you? But now we have to, because this is a part of his legacy and his life and what he's been able to do. And he's a very humble guy. When you sit around and you talk football with Steve Wisniewski, it's never about him. It's always about his teammates and everybody else. But now it's the time where we got to push this thing. We got to get him into the Hall of Fame, and more of the voters who are in there need to understand how great of a player he was. And to play guard at his level, often we think of offensive linemen, and offensive linemen are, left tackles, right tackles, centers. They're the famed offensive linemen that we see in football. No, they were guards, and they were great guards who were in the Hall of Fame. And Steve Wisniewski is definitely one of them. And that is a position that I think is a very underrated position. So, Wiz, as you were talking about your tenacity, you mentioned Howie Long, some of the mentors that helped you get into this league.
Yes, sir. Well, I played with some great players, and I was surrounded by Hall of Fame players. Art Shell was my first line coach. Jim Otto was out just about at every practice. I played against Howie Long. Marcus Allen was the first running back I blocked for. And so these guys just had an impact on me. And I felt like I played the offensive guard position with tenacity, didn't back down from anyone, and played to the whistle blew. And so I took pride that guys did not want to play against me. They didn't want to line up against me. And I took pride in representing the Raider organization well. So for a time, I would say, I was as tough as any offensive guard out there.
Absolutely. Semifinalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Steve Wisniewski, Raider legend, is our guest. How did you turn it on and off? Because I've known you for decades as a gentleman, and we talk stocks and the market and business. But when you were playing, and I saw this with Lincoln Kennedy a lot, how he turned it on in warm-ups right before the game started. What did you do, Wiz, after warm-ups when you went back into the locker room and then it was time to come out again through the tunnel and you had to play and the ball's coming, you're accepting the ball to go first, and you got to come out there and flip the switch and turn into just this beast of a guard?
Yeah, thanks, JT. What's kind of funny? I coined the phrase, the field is my playground. And I would say that to myself. A few other guys, I would give them a fist bump, say the field's my playground. And I had the vision of, a kid on the playground can't be hurt. On 5th grade recess, you just run and jump and climb on the jungle gym bars. And I played football all out. I was never afraid to play football or afraid to get hurt. I was but I was going to leave everything on the football field. And, that's the warrior mindset. You see it across sports. You see it in different, walks of life. My son is a soldier in the infantry. They have that mindset. They can be a warrior during the day and then come home to a family at night. And, I will say that I got a reputation as being a physical player, play to the whistle blew. But after the game, there was not anyone I wouldn't shake their hand. There wasn't anybody I wouldn't kneel down with on the 50-yard line. And, no one was ever carted off because they played against me and somehow they were injured by anything I did. So I just played to the whistle blew.
Steve Wisniewski is our guest. Wiz, how'd you turn it off when you got in the car and went home to your family and you're starting a family and all that? How did you know to get up for the game, play the game, obviously put nutrition into your body, get your workouts in, and then turn it off and go be a family man? How was that process?
Yeah, well, you know what? I was keen not to have my identity tied up in football at the time, JT. When I had a young family at home, there was no football memorabilia on the walls. I didn't have any helmets up. I didn't do any of that kind of stuff. I just wanted to be seen as dad, and I just tried to get away from football when I wasn't at the facility. I was just any average, approachable guy, you know, and I think that worked out well. You know, at the time I had 3 young kids, and they didn't realize that everyone's dad didn't play National Football League and wasn't on television. We just didn't make a big deal of it. And so I think that made it easier for me to walk away, step away from the game when I did after 13 seasons, because I just kind of put it in its place, in its box.
Steve Wisniewski, semifinalist for the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio. A Mr. Al Davis story. So when Al brings you in, how did the relationship flourish? And I'm sure there was some ups and downs. You got contract negotiations. Mr. Davis could be fair, but tough when it comes to that. You're knocking down all these Pro Bowls, and it is a business. How were you able to manage the business side of football with the football playing and putting up all those great moments in your career? How'd you handle that?
Well, I've always been appreciative. Mr. Davis gave me my greatest opportunity in life, and every meaningful paycheck I ever had came with a Raider logo on it, JT. So when the Raiders call today and ask me to do an appearance, I say yes, and then I say, okay, now what do you need me to do? You know, I just have that sense of appreciation, and as well for Mark Davis. So I had a great relationship with Mr. Davis. He respected the fact I wore the silver and black well. They always took care of me as far as I've thought very fairly with contracts. You know, I signed a contract and I didn't second guess it. I was there till the duration of the contract. And then even when I was done playing, he insisted that I come back and coach. I was coaching at Stanford under Jim Harbaugh, and he insisted I come back and help coach. And he showed a lot of faith in me, and I've always appreciated that about him. And he loved his players. And as well, Mark Davis. Mark Davis has never been anything but supportive, kind, and encouraging to me. So I feel like I owe it to the Raider organization to make it to Canton at this point.
Absolutely, and we're here for the push. Steve Wisniewski, as we wrap it up, who's the greatest player, Hall of Fame, who's already in the Hall of Fame that you went up against, your personal biggest rival?
So I feel like going against Howie Long in practice was about the toughest task anyone could have, because Howie, when he would go in practice, he would go 100 miles an hour, full speed, just like he would in the game. He was a real professional, whatever reps. And so I would go against him full speed, trying to block him, and he'd make me look silly. But trying to block Howie in practice, that really helped me to improve quickly. I was named to the All-Rookie League team my first year, but then I made a Pro Bowl after my second season. And that was only because of going against Howie in practice every day. And then someone not at the Raiders, I'd have to say Reggie White, the Minister of Defense, God rest his soul. I had the chance to block him a few times at Green Bay, also at Pro Bowls. And he was just a beast. He would never take plays off. He was so strong. You just have to keep hitting him with a 2x4 and just hope you wore him down. But he was a no-quit kind of guy. So
yeah, those are some good ones. Wiz, I have Warren Moon coming up next hour, and he threw some pretty good Pro Bowl parties back in the day, huh?
Well, I didn't have an opportunity to be a part of that, but I respect him.
Yeah.
My good buddies, Mike Munchak and Bruce Matthews, played with Warren, and they speak really highly of him. I don't know Warren personally, but yeah, true gentleman.
Absolutely. Hey, finally, the team's struggling this year. You watch the games, and, you know, we're on a big losing streak. The offensive line's young. You know, Max Crosby, you've met him a number of times. And, Wiz, it's been a grind. I mean, you live and bleed silver and black, and the team's going through a tough time, but they have to finish the remainder of these games against rivals like Kansas City, the Chargers, and Denver again. What advice would you give to these players? Because you played on some teams that weren't super elite and you played on better teams. When you're on a team that's struggling and not living up to expectations, how do you bring your lunch bucket to work, finish out the season, and play with pride and poise?
Yeah, great questions, JT. I would just tell them every day is a new day. It doesn't matter what your record is going into today. And let's make today's practice, the best Thursday practice we've had all year. Let's make today, our Sunday's game, the best game we play all year. The beauty of the NFL is you get to recreate yourself every week. And so they just have to, get going and get one drive started, get one touchdown, get 7 points before they worry about getting 32 points. So, yeah, I would just say let's focus on today. Let's get better today, and let's show some energy, some juice, some life today, and make it happen. I don't think these guys are going to quit. They're going to make us proud. And it's been a rough start. We none of us saw this start coming, but hey, we got a new chance on Sunday against the Broncos.
Thanks, Wiz. Whatever I can do to help my family to your family, I'm really excited about this. Eric Allen's my partner with a lot of stuff that we do at Silver and Black Productions. It would be a dream of mine to see you both get into this class. And I think the momentum building with you personally is really real around the league. There's more than a buzz for you to continue to climb from semifinalist to finalist. And whatever you need along the way, I'm here for you, man. You mean a lot to me, and I'm really excited about this news for you and your family.
Thank you, JT. You're a good friend. Always have been in a class act. If I go, you go. I appreciate it so much, brother.
You got it. There he is, Steve Wisniewski. Man, that guy is a great guy and just fantastic that we could get him on today. He's a pro football Hall of Famer. He is. He played at the highest level at that position in the history of the league. Gene Upshaw's in at guard. Okay. And Steve Wisniewski, I've always thought was a Hall of Fame player. But when you have a class that you can take from 4 to 8 people, and this class is pretty big, Eli Manning's going to get all the hype. Because a lot of people don't believe that Eli Manning is a first ballot Hall of Famer. I believe that Eli Manning's a Hall of Famer. He won 2 Super Bowls. He's got the yards. He's got the touchdowns. Remember, the problem with the Hall of Fame going forward with these gentlemen like who played in the 90s or Plunkett who played in the 80s or those like Lester Hayes in the 80s and even those in the 70s, why Cliff Branch had to wait so long, is that the numbers now are skewing. They're crazy. So the quarterbacks now have video game numbers. Matt Ryan, Drew Brees is a Hall of Famer, obviously, with his stats. He'll be a first ballot. But you're now seeing quarterbacks come into the league. Derek Carr is going to be a good example. Derek Carr is going to have 60,000 yards. He's already at 40. He's past Montana, past a lot of the legends. But you have to have signature playoff games or great games. Now, I personally believe, this is just something I want to say about the Hall of Fame in general. The Hall of Fame is an individual achievement. If you played on great teams, fabulous. But if you didn't play on great teams, it's not your fault that your owner, your general manager, your quarterback wasn't good enough to win big games. It's an individual award. The Pro Football Hall of Fame for Steve Wisniewski is how did he compete at guard in his career with 8 Pro Bowls? Well, if you say he was a great Hall of Fame player, you don't have to look at the Raiders' record. Andre Dawson won the MVP in baseball on a last-place team. Ted Williams never had a playoff career. Literally, he's a Hall of Famer, is arguably the greatest hitter. So I've always believed that the Hall of Fame is about one thing, stats. You either have them or you don't. But when you play offensive line, you don't have stats. It's holding. How many times did you hold? How many times did you do this? Then you're not going into the Hall of Fame because they count your pancake blocks. They'll see them, but they don't count them. And it's harder for an offensive lineman, easier for a quarterback, easier for a wide receiver. You know, when you see Anquan Bolden on a class or Reggie Wayne, I think they're Hall of Famers. The question is, do you want to put them in on the first or second ballot? And Steve Wisniewski was the Hall of Famer. And I'm going to revert back to Eric Allen. Eric Allen is a Hall of Famer for one reason. We know how great of a guy he is. He's Mr. Nice Guy. I never worked with him. For those who give me crap, saying I sound mean and I'm loud, okay, I work with Eric Allen. He likes me. We get along great. We break bread together. Eric Allen is a nice guy. You don't get into the Hall of Fame for being as nice as Eric Allen. You get in because you have 54 career interceptions, 8 return for touchdowns. That's it. Now, he happened to play with Reggie White, Jerome Brown, Rod Woodson, Charles Woodson. He played for Al Davis. So when you look at Eric Allen's career, you can add up a whole bunch of things. But all you got to do with Eric is just go to the stat sheet, and he's a Hall of Famer. And then one more I'll give you, Jim Plunkett. Whatever happens with Jim, the legacy, Jim does not have the stats for the Hall of Fame. He does not. They're not close to being Hall of Fame. That doesn't matter with Jim Plunkett. He's different, and there's a few players who are different. Gale Sayers, who only played for 6 years, right? One of the greatest players of all time. You didn't have to see Gale Sayers play 12 years. He got injured. His career ended. Jim Plunkett's legacy is that he's the first Latino quarterback to win a Super Bowl. He's the first quarterback to win a Super Bowl coming through the wild card. He's a Super Bowl MVP with his 2 Super Bowls. He's got one. He was the Rookie of the Year. That's a big award. And he was the Comeback Player of the Year, which is a massive award. So when you tell the story of Jim Plunkett or Lester Hayes and guys who played back in the day, you have to tell the complete story. I'm worried now that all we're going to be doing is talking about stats going forward. So how is Jim Plunkett going to get in unless you tell his story correctly? It's getting more complicated. In baseball, there's never, ever, ever, ever going to be another 300-game winner in baseball. It's over. Baseball players come in now, they pitch 5 innings. Garrett Cole pitches 5 innings every time he pitches for the Yankees, every game. He doesn't go 8, doesn't go 9. You don't see complete games. You don't see 300 wins. So what are you going to have to look at for the Baseball Hall of Fame? You're going to have to look for dominance. How dominant were you in a 10-year period? And also longevity is very important. If you played like George Blanda and you played for decades, that counts. Some people say, well, he played forever. Yeah, well, too bad. That counts. Playing forever matters. That's pretty cool if you can play forever. So that's where we are. I wanted to get Steve Wisniewski in early. It's been a grind this week. A lot of people are gone. They're gone. They're out. They're out on radio. Not they're listening, but they're just checked out. And I don't do checked out shows. I'm very engaged this week. Man, I'm living over in the building. We had the coach on yesterday. I'm going back today. I'm going to be on the Silver and Black show with Amber Theo Harris. Got a busy day today. I'm going to F1 on Saturday, which I'm excited about for that. And then we got Raiders, Broncos on Sunday. It's amazing, man. I'm watching a radio show today. They spent 2 hours on Bo Nix. Oh, my God. If you want to know one reason why you want to win this game Sunday is the slurping and the ass-kissing that's going on for Bo Nix. If you're a Raider fan and you want one reason to win because you want to lose every game for some mythical statue of some player we don't even know we're going to get, I'll leave you on this before we come back. Go beat Bo Nix because the hype machine behind Bo Nix is second to only one, Jim Harbaugh. All right. So I live in the world of Raiders 24/7. And now we're dealing with the love fest of Jim Harbaugh, great coach, and the love fest of Bo Nix, who was pretty bad to start off the season. We had him dead. We were going to go up 17-3. Patrick Surtain, 103-yard pick 6, game over. But Bo Nix is playing well the last couple of weeks. And Bobby, if I have to sit here Monday morning and eat a plate of Bo Nix crow, I'm going to have to do it. Because if Bo Nix sweeps the Raiders, that's not a good thing. For you guys who want your favorite draft pick, you want the first or second pick. Okay? I want to beat Bo Nix. I want you to see Bo Nix a 1-1 and not 2-0 against the Raiders. That's where my head's at. I don't know where your head's at unless you let me know. 702-365-9200. Thanks to PTs for fueling the monologue, and thanks to Steve Wisniewski, who kicked off the show. What a player he was. We usually don't kick off the show with an interview. We usually get me going for about 20 minutes. But Wiz was able to do it there. Warren Moon next hour. Vince Sapienza, who's a Raider insider and host the show, he's going to join us. Lee Sterling is going to pick games. And the president of Virgin Hotels right next to F1, Cliff Atkinson's going to join us. We got a big show today. All right, nice to talk to Wiz. I had to put someone in timeout, Raider Ryan, already. Normally, I don't put people in timeout until I get to the first break. They're a little wise ass. We're throwing some stuff up here. So the timeout's only 24 hours. What's up, Fabian? Yeah, Wiz played through the whistle. He was a hell of a player. Yeah, I can see some of our light numbers dropping because some people want to. This is why I don't want to do Raiders for this whole show, because I want more people to join in. I want football fans in here, not just Raider fans, because what did we lose, 7 in a row now? No numbers go up. You don't sell more pizza. You don't sell more beer when you lose it. So we want to get more and more people in here on some other topics too, if you got it. This is not a Raiders YouTube page. It's the JT the Brick YouTube page. So let's get some football conversation in here, because I'm going to talk Raiders anyway. All right, Bobby, what do we got next? He knows to call us?
I'll text him right now. He should know. I mean, he's in here every day.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
might send him a text just to remind him.
Yeah, Colin Coward today did 2 hours. He's got a big show. I've always respected the size of his show, but he did 2 hours today on Bo Nix. It was just the biggest love fest I've ever seen. So that's fine. What you can't knock someone talking about a guy playing well. And I don't think Bo Nix is a great player. He's playing okay. You know, Derek Carr opened up his career 0-10. 0-10. I thought in some of those games he played well. Raiders just couldn't buy a win. Bo Nix is winning some games now, which sucks if you're a Raider fan. Yeah, we got to get really into some live reads today, so I'm going to give you a segment maybe. Maybe you can just flag this show, Bobby. House Junkies, salute Raider Nation. The only way we can stop Nix has got to be Max. Max has got to have one of those. Max hasn't had a game yet this year. He's had some good games, but Max hasn't had that 3-sack game at home. 3 sacks, strip sack. I think he's got to play that way.
Here's talking about Bo Nix. I'm waiting on Sapienza.
Mm-hmm.
So surprise your loved ones, coworkers, or friends with a unique sports-themed gift basket or present from the Las Vegas Gifting Company. From festive treats to team game delights, the possibilities are endless.
Yeah, I woke up today, went for about a 4-mile walk. No, not 4, it's 3. I got a good walk in today, up early, and then a little dog walk, and slept great last night. I just watched The Diplomat, a new show that I just knocked out that was pretty good. It was pretty good. Political story about a female ambassador to London, and a good show. A lot of espionage, a lot of bombs, a little Russia involvement. I thought it was pretty good. Entertaining show. I watched The Penguin. And that was really good. Colin Farrell was fantastic in The Penguin. Fantastic. Vince there?
Yep, Sapienza is all set, and Pierce coming back.
Yep. What else did I watch? I watched a documentary on Prime Video about Prince, the artist formerly known as Prince. Man, what a career he had. He went on a timeline of his entire life, which was pretty cool. All right, Bobby, let's knock something out. I'll do
I'll follow you.
Yeah. Start off with Modelo. See, I have live reads. See this? So we have, what we do in radio here is we have partners who pay money to be on the radio and have me talk about their companies. And what makes me different is I'm passionate about all of our partners, so we try to talk about them.
Brought to you by PT, the best happy hour in town.
5 to 7 p.m. and midnight to 2 a.m.
Yeah, throughout college, winner. He's a winner as a freshman. He's a winner as a 6-year. All he does is win, come in the league, won the quarterback battle there in Denver. Maybe, they were keeping him tight on the leash early on, and now they're not. He has full control of that offense. You can see that Sean Payton gives him opportunities to audible and make some adjustments. He's making throws. He's running with his legs. He's taking care of the football, and he's winning. That's all you can ask for from a rookie.
Santonio Pierce talking about Bo Nix. That is high praise for Bo Nix, who deserves it. He's having a hell of a year. We are brought to you by Modelo. Join me for a live broadcast tomorrow, November 22nd, noon to 2 at Top Golf. brought to you by Modelo. The Black Hole Superfans will be there. Meet and take your pictures with football's most notorious fans. We'll have Modelo Special, and we'll have great deals on Modelo. Pacifico, I'm loving that. Corona Extra, Corona Premier. So I'll see you tomorrow, noon to 2 at Top Golf. Modelo, an official cerveza of the Raiders, and the official beer of fans with a fighting spirit. Don't be afraid. It's F1. Don't be afraid to go to Top Golf. All the roads are open. Come on in via Koval, right off Tropicana. It'll be easy. Parking's free. Come on up and say hi. Have a Modelo with me. Then Sapienza would be there, but he has to get up early and work on the morning show and then work till 11 at night and do the Golden Knights. How are you, my friend?
Well, I was about to have my 12:30, 1 o'clock pick-me-up espresso
Yes.
the rest of the day, but now I just want some Modelo.
Well,
I just want to come party with you at Top Golf.
Well, back in the day when I used to work late nights or nights with you, afterwards I would get home and maybe have a cerveza. But now, now with the Raider Nation and everything that's happening, man, I put that down to the weekend. It has been frustrating. I'm sure for you. You launched this big new morning show. You're on with Clay and Vinny, and you're really good at what you do. But every day you come in there and you know what's waiting for you. You got to review a loss over the last 7 games, and you got to preview the team that's coming up. And a lot of fans are pretty frustrated. How's it been in the morning?
Yeah, well, I choose to be an eternal optimist, and I know I get beaten over the head by Raider Nation of those that have been enduring the losses and the tough weeks and the tough Mondays for many years. I can understand and I can appreciate, but as you look forward, there's a lot of other bad situations around the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and look at no further than Devontae Adams. Is the grass really greener anywhere else? There's problems everywhere. Obviously, the Raiders have their own, but you know what? It's still football. And at the end of the day, I found that there's a nice cycle to the week, even on a loss. Mondays are tough. Not gonna lie, Mondays are tough days. Tuesdays might be even heavier because you still have the feel, the sting from the weekend. But Raider Nation's different. There's only one nation, and the fans slowly, as Wednesday and Thursday, build back up and get excited for another weekend, and that's what we got here with Denver, rivalry week. It's the Chiefs, the Chargers, and the Broncos. It doesn't matter the records, doesn't matter what's happening. There is a love to hate, and so it feels like the excitement is back, especially we have to be back at Allegiant Stadium for the first time in what feels like forever. So there is cause for optimism and excitement for the weekend ahead.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it. I think that's a really good attitude. We're talking football, and we're talking about a football team that's got some really good players that's underachieving this year, a lot of injuries, no excuses. It's very easy for me to say no excuses. Just look at the record here. But I was with the team in Miami, and in the second half, there was no Nate Hobbs. He was inactive. Then Jacorian Bennett went down, and he's having a really good year. And then Jack Jones went down. And I'll tell you this much, Bo Nix is coming to town. The secondary for the Raiders, the MASH unit, better be ready to go because Sean Payton's opening up this offense with Bo Nix when it was dink and dunk, protect the football the first 3 to 4 games. Now Bo Nix has the whole playbook, and he's ripping it up.
Yeah, it's fascinating the way the National really picks their flavor of the month, doesn't it? I mean, Bo Nix really is the apple of their eye the last couple of weeks. No doubt he's been playing better, but when you dig in the numbers and you look at the stats, I mean, he's still at the bottom half of the quarterback tree in terms of the National Football League. So, I'm not going to get on the hype train just yet for Bo Nix. I think he is a good young rookie quarterback that is older in age, that is faring very well. But let's not forget, the Raiders were winning this game against Denver on the road. If it wasn't for the self-inflicted wounds, and that is the theme of this season, so that's the Raiders' fault. But when we look at that game in particular, the Raiders were playing well enough to win until they shot themselves in the foot, and then the rest snowballed on them. So in terms of Bo Nix, yes, he's getting better, but this is not a Patrick Mahomes, a Lamar Jackson, a Joe Burrow type player yet. So this is a winnable game, and I know that there's the big controversy and a big topic of conversation this week among Raider Nation. Everybody's already looking at April. Everybody's looking to figure out and get the quarterback of their dreams. But there's no guarantee for anything that they're going to get anybody, especially when you look at who's at the bottom of the standings, and everybody seemingly needs a quarterback. So at the end of the day, you're not going to convince 70 guys in the facility, hey, don't worry about this week. We're looking at April. None of those 70 players care about next April. So you better believe all those guys in the building right now are trying to figure out ways to win this week because they're all playing for their jobs. They're all working for their jobs, whether that's the coaches, whether that's the players, or even the front office at this point. There's jobs are at stake, and that is why this is a week-to-week league, not just in a win-loss record, but in a what are you going to do for me next week? Not necessarily next year, because nobody can have that foresight in the building as it stands this week.
Vince Sapienza is our guest. So one last thing with what's happening with this team is when you get a chance to be at practice or you're there on the sidelines or in the locker room or doing what you do, which is at a high level in this town, Antonio Pierce is a motivator. He told me yesterday, this guy hasn't had a season like this his entire life, including, as he told me, eye-to-eye, Pop Warner. But he has the guys ready to play, and they've been ready. It's a 10-6 game. It's a one-score game in Miami with under 4 minutes to go. No one wants to talk about that anymore. He doesn't, I don't, but we have to because we're looking at games here, and you got to find a way to close out the games. Are you surprised on how many games the Raiders have been in coming out of halftime or going into the fourth quarter? And I won't call it bad luck because you make your own luck, but everything that could go wrong's gone wrong in some of these games. In Miami, that broken play, that miscommunication, the Raiders are ready to get the ball back and have a chance to win the game, and it just looks like a blowout when you look at the box score.
Yeah, when you look at the Raiders this season, there's one game and only one game where they have been completely out of it, and that's the Carolina game. That is the only game on the schedule this past season where they were not competitive from the start. Every other game, there is an argument that they were a play away from staying in it. Now, whether or not they would go on to win the game, but to your point with Miami, I mean, they're down their top three corners, their top two running backs, in a running game that's already 32nd in the National Football League. They're on their 8th iteration of the offensive line due to injury. 3 rookies playing on the offensive side of the ball. They've only gotten 2 possessions in the first half. A brand new play caller against a Miami team that is one of the most feared on the offensive side of the ball in the National Football League. And they were really, towards the end of the game. I do give Antonio Pierce a lot of credit for not only motivating the guys in a tough season, but for keeping their spirits alive. And I'll give you no better example than a guy like Dylan Labe. Week 6, gets his first touch in the National Football League, gets it knocked out of his hands on his first snap of touching an NFL football in a regular season game. TJ Watt comes in, strips him, fumbles, Steelers take over, they go down, score a touchdown, go up at the half, and the rest is history in terms of Pittsburgh winning the game. Dylan Labe doesn't see the field on the offensive snap, but Antonio Pierce, throughout the last few weeks, periodically goes in, checks on him, They're down their top 2 running backs heading into this week, more likely than not. Dylan Labe, by necessity, is going to get some run. And when he was met with the media at his locker, it's so easy for a kid to sit there and sulk and say, woe is me, all this different stuff. And he said, you got to earn trust in here. And while that's good on Dylan Labe, that's also a reflection on the head coach, getting his messaging across to a young player in the National Football League, trying to find his way, trying to carve out his way. So when you know that that's happening on an individual basis, and we're not, behind the scenes in the locker room in every single conversation, but when you see moments like that, that's where you get a true glimpse of what the head coach to player relationship is like. And that's the accountability. That's the trust. That's why he is the quote unquote player coach, because he is reaching them on a different level than most. And so that's what I look forward to. And that's what gives me confidence that you have a team that's going to continue to compete week in and week out, regardless of the record.
Last one, I'm looking here. Vegas Golden Knights on top of the Pacific with 24 points. Calgary 23, Kings 23, Edmonton 22, but Winnipeg in the West leading with 32. Let's wrap this up with something really cool about the Vegas Golden Knights, because I'm going to be diving into them a lot more coming up here in the coming weeks.
Well, the Golden Knights are in the midst of their longest road trip of the season, 5-gamer. They get blanked for the first time in more than 10 months last night in Toronto in a game that they were kind of dominating, to be honest. Probably the most physical game I can remember. That was a non-playoff game for the Golden Knights. A lot of big hits, a lot of extracurricular activity. They, played 20 hours later today in Ottawa, home province of head coach Bruce Cassidy. So the Golden Knights are in the midst of a 2-game losing streak right now. They're playing really, really well, but hit a bit of a speed bump. This is what you would call that proverbial get right game.
Mhm.
Very motivated group. Let's see how battered and bruised they are from last night. But this is one of those games you get right, you feel better, make your way to Montreal on Saturday, and then head back in the States later this week before returning to the Fortress on Black Friday, or as they like to call it, Golden Friday.
You're not doing a live shot on Fox 5 at F1, are you? Or you be doing a late night live shot? What's your plans for the weekend? We got Raiders and F1.
All
right, we lost him there at the end.
Doing the race.
Okay, buddy, we lost you there at the end with the phone. No big deal. We're having phone ghosts today, Bobby. Hey, Bobby, I've been doing this a really, 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 really long time, and I want to do it a really, really, really long time, Bobby. So, if you can please get our phones right. I know that the phone. I know the phones out in deep Henderson at times cut in and out because they haven't built cell towers out there yet. But I still have a landline at home because I do a lot of radio interviews. Vince is great. Phone just went quiet there at the end. We thank him for coming on. Vince Sapienza is a very, very, very good reporter. La Casa Cigars, Tivoli Village, walk-in humidor, 500 cigar labels. I need to go. I always go for live local entertainment 7 nights a week. Get a private membership like I do. I got a locker coming there over the holidays. How about that? La Casa Cigars and Lounge at Tivoli Village and online at lacasacigars.com. All right, we are back. We'll get Lee Sterling. He's going to give you some games. Big D's been keeping track of that. What game are we going to get from Lee? Did Lee know to call us, or should I let him know? Okay, thank you. Perfect. I think I told him earlier. We're having problems with our phones. And as Bobby knows, I don't like phone problems because I'm in the phone business. Before I got into sports radio, I was a cold caller. I sold stocks and real estate over the phone. So I was a cold call cowboy, and I was damn good at it. So the phone is a big part of my life. I don't get into sports radio if I'm not a caller on the Jim Rome show. So the phone, to me, in sports radio. See, sports radio is dying in a lot of platforms because the hosts don't believe they should talk to callers. They don't. The program directors, most of them suck. We got a good one here in Q because he works. See, Q's really good because he's on the radio twice a day for like 5 hours a day. So he knows what it's like to. Most of these program directors and radio suck because they've never done a radio show. They don't know how to do radio. They go to these conferences and they sit in these conference rooms and people tell them how to tell their staff how to do radio, but they don't have the ability to do radio. So how can you work for a program director who's never been on the radio? That's a dirty little secret in our business. But the callers and the people that can contribute, some shows read text. I don't read text. I got your chat here. I'll read it from here. I got to do more of that, by the way. I got to do more of reading this chat. But we want to hear from people, man, because the callers can be quite entertaining when they're fun and funny or energetic or passionate. We love that. Yeah, and again, we are not the show that's going to start promoting the new coach here. So retract that. We're not doing – I work for Antonio Pierce. I don't work for him, but I interview him every week. So whoever the coaches of the team, I have their back the entire time. I did with Josh McDaniels, John Gruden, Rich Bisaccia, Antonio Pierce. Those gentlemen treated me great, not good. They're gentlemen. The ones who aren't here anymore, it didn't work out. You wish them well, and they go on with their lives. And hopefully my path cross with them down the road. All right, Bobby, I'll keep this going. I gave you a Modelo, La Casa.
JT from Woodson Bourbon Whiskey, Hall of Famer Charles Woodson built this legend on the gridiron, and now he's taking the same dedication to his new craft spirit line, Woodson Bourbon Whiskey.
What's up, Raider Nation? It's your boy Charles Woodson.
Support AP. I mean, why wouldn't you support AP? You all wanted AP. Every single one of you wanted AP when he was winning last year. Every one of you. I understand you didn't want McDaniels. You were afraid of the Patriot way, afraid of it. Now people want Vrabel. It's amazing how people change their mind. Coaches coach, players play. Coaching matters a lot. Players being healthy matters more. Players being healthy matters more. And this year, I think the coaching staff, every coach has had to deal with these enormous injuries. And yeah, it's a pretty rare year when you lose Epps, Christian Wilkins, and Malcolm Kuntz. We lost those three guys for the entire year early. That sucked, man. Especially Malcolm Kuntz. Really wanted to see what he had. Yeah, Brent, the team is playing hard for AP, and that's all you can ask at this point. I don't know what more you can ask, just to play hard. They're not very good. I think they can win some games. They might lose a lot more, but all you can care about is them playing hard. And I care about one more thing. I care about entertaining football. I want to be entertained. I want to watch some fun shit go down. Some Brock Bowers bombs. Like, let's throw a deep ball to Brock. Let's do something. What's up, Bobby?
Pierce talking about offensive line availability. And Lee's all set.
Responsibly.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by the Black Hole. Become a member of football's most notorious fans.
Those will be the 5 guys out there today. We need to keep it that way come Sunday. Just continuity. I said it last week. We just been having so many different lineups in and out as far as with health and different things of that nature. It'd be good, just watching them in the walkthrough just here recently, seeing those same 5 guys. Just you got continuity, chemistry, all those words go together, and it really helps out not just your line group, the offense, because you don't have these mistakes and mental errors that we had early in the season.
Antonio Pierce, you got a lot of sound of him as he's going forward trying to win games. Tito's Handmade Vodka, America's original craft vodka, distilled on the same land where it all started in Austin, Texas. Tito's is made from corn and naturally gluten-free. Tito's Handmade Vodka is my go-to vodka. It has been for a very long time. Find cocktail recipes, videos, and more at Tito'sVodka.com. This guy's been my friend for a long, long time. He's a professional handicapper. I put him here in front of you, so hopefully he can help you. If you're trying to bet on football, the great Lee Sterling joins us from Paramount Sports. And Lee, happy Thanksgiving in advance, as we'll be off around the holiday when you usually come on. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, looking forward to it. Have the pie bake-off. My 2 daughters do that every Thanksgiving. Anyone can watch it on Twitter. So we'll see which one wins this year, and whoever the loser is, they usually don't talk to me for about 24 hours.
Lee, I do all my damage on meat and potatoes and cocktails and cerveza. I'm not a big dessert guy my whole life. Never been a pie guy, but I go the apple pie, and I'll go cherry pie. I don't do anything else. To me, the rest is awful, and I don't know how you could go into such a big event like Thanksgiving or Christmas other than the apple and the cherry. Do your daughters have something different going on?
Okay, so one of them used to make banana cream pie, but she's been having trouble getting the right consistency. So it's going to be apple, and the other one I have a feeling could be boysenberry pie. So
that's a first
we'll
for me.
See what breaks out. So I'm not allowed to get near the kitchen at all on Wednesday night.
You got it. Well, thanks for the birthday, because you always follow me on Facebook. Thank you for that. It's Saturday, not today, and I will not be eating pie. I'll be eating something very good. So let's get to the games here, because I don't know much about Indiana, but I watch Indiana, and I go, I don't even want to watch Indiana. They can't be that good, and then they're just playing amazing. I don't think they have a chance against the Ohio State unless something happens where Ohio State's turning it over in the red zone. Big game, winner move forward, loser go home. How do you have it?
Well, their offense is good, and they can score on anyone. But here's a stat that's crazy. The last 14 times an undefeated top 5 team has been a double-digit underdog. That undefeated underdog, 0-14 straight up, and just 5-9 against the spread. So they're usually an underdog and that big for a reason. Indiana's offense is really good, but their defense has not faced even one good offense all season. Top offense they faced is Maryland at 44 and Washington at 58. Look at some of the other offenses that they faced. FIU, Western Illinois, Charlotte, who fired their coach, Northwestern, who couldn't score if you give them 6 downs, and Nebraska, who already fired their offensive coordinator. Ohio State has a ton of guys at wide receiver and running back that'll be drafted in the first and second round over the next 2 years here. Too big a major step up for Indiana. Ohio State 38-17.
38-17. I'm writing this down, Ohio State. All right, let's move out to the next game. The NFL, Green Bay, -2.5 against San Francisco. Man, Kyle Shanahan, it feels like a must-win game. The only thing that will save the Niners, they will not get a wild card. No chance. They have to win the division outright in a division where Kyler Murray's playing well in Arizona. Geno Smith just beat him in Santa Clara. And we know what's happening overall with the Rams. They're a tough out there, but the Niners feel like they're going to come in via the back door. Is this a must-win game for the Niners, having to play in some light snow in Green Bay?
Oh, I think so. With a 5-5 record, yeah, they lost 3 games and blew 3 fourth-quarter leads to their division rivals, Seattle, the Cardinals, and the Rams. Green Bay might be a really overrated 7-3 team. I mean, their past 3 wins came by a combined 6 points. They have an offense that turns the ball over left and right. Their quarterback has thrown now, Jordan Love, 11 interceptions, and that leads the league. And he's played 2 fewer games than almost any other starting quarterback. And their defense has been feasting on takeaways. If they don't get takeaways, they're in trouble. I think George Kittle not starting last week, last-second scratch, hurt the San Francisco team. Wrong team favored. San Francisco outright 28-24.
28-24. San Francisco staying alive and doing big things. Let's get to the next one. Oh, man, there's a love fest going on for the Chargers. So it's just a matter of time. You give Harbaugh a couple of wins. L.A., Fox, ESPN, they're all going to get behind Coach Harbaugh. But now they're winning games, and I'm shocked that they're winning games like this. And I don't think they've played perfect offensive football other than J.K. Dobbins on the ground. Baltimore's getting a little bit interesting to me. They'll play great 2 weeks in a row, and then a team can figure them out. Baltimore, -3 at the Chargers. Give us that one.
So the Chargers do one thing really well. They play good defense, allowing only 14 points per game, leading the league. Their receivers are much improved. They have developed, watching them running good routes. They hold on to the ball. So I think that's the most improved unit maybe in the NFL. And there's a blueprint to stopping this Baltimore offense, and Pittsburgh laid it out last week. So I think Jim Harbaugh here is going to get the nod over his brother in the Harbaugh. I'm going to take the Chargers plus the 3. It's always a saying, if you can get the home team with a better defense and a field goal, you take it. Chargers 24-21 over Baltimore.
All right, and then finally the game of the week, something you know a lot about, Deion in Colorado, Shador, a lot of Shador talk here, Lee, in Vegas. Every time the Raiders lose, Shador's like throwing a party and then thumbs up here like he wants to come to Vegas. We'll see what happens. Kansas, kind of an up-and-down team too, playing better as of late. You got some information on this game at Paramount Sports. How do we get it?
Yep, first 5 callers to call 800-400-9741. We're going to give them the Colorado-Kansas game for free. Colorado looking to get to that Big 12 title game. Kansas looking to become bowl eligible, maybe the best 4-6 team in the country. So first 5 callers call 800-400-9741. Our college football game of the year goes on Saturday. It's a 50-unit max wager. We are 70-25 lifetime on these 40 to 50 unit max wagers. So you want to get it just $97. ParamountSports.com, or 2 weeks of all of our action, $197. Just one place, ParamountSports.com.
Happy holidays, Lee. Talk to you soon.
You too, JT.
Lee Sterling, ParamountSports.com. Give him a call. Get to the website. Lee was brought to you by M-Ride. If you need a ride to the games, Allegiant Stadium, please follow me on this. They got a deal for our listeners. Just M-Ride it. They're the luxury concierge shuttle service in this town. They're the best. It's the same bus the players use. It's gorgeous. It's clean. They have bathrooms on this bus. If you're sitting in traffic and they find a way to go around it all, they're unbelievable. Their drivers are great. M-Ride will take you round trip from Circa or the Palms to Allegiant Stadium or T-Mobile. So no more hassle parking, sitting in traffic, waiting in long taxi or those rideshare lines. Oh, after a game, you got to be kidding me. You just need to M-Ride it and you'll get in and out quickly. Use my promo code BRICK at mridelv.com. I got you the hookup. The promo code is BRICK. That's mridelv.com promo code BRICK. So we had a good first hour there. So I'm going to jump off YouTube. Thanks to the bricklayers there. We continue to build this. One viewer, one subscriber at a time. Please subscribe for free. JT the Brick YT, and you can see what we're doing at the Raiders when my son fires up the machine at night and we get it rolling. And now next hour, Warren Moon, the Hall of Famer, will join us at the bottom of the hour, 1:30. You'll be able to hear that. And coming up next, the president of a major casino in town, Cliff Atkinson, my friend over at Virgin Hotels. They are at the epicenter of F1. So I got a lot of things happening over at Virgin Hotels coming up. I'll tell you about it this weekend. I'll be back at the Raiders here at 2:30 today. So I'm going to drive from the studio into deep Henderson for a little bit of TV with Amber Theo Harris. And then it's a good weekend. I'm going to get after it a little bit early this weekend. Well, then again, I shouldn't. I was in Miami a week ago today. I was in Miami a week ago on Thursday. Miami was fun. Not the outcome of the game. Miami's a fun town for a road trip. Hour number 2 on deck. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Remember, call me in 5 minutes.
Yeah, I will. Have a good one. Have a good one, everybody. Remember, please hit the like button and please share this podcast. Please share this on YouTube with your other YouTube buddies. Thank you.